So you would like to go to a music production school?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But my family isn't the richest, so I thought about going to a school which is financed by government. You know what I mean? Okay. So I just wanted to know if that is the right way, because there are many producers who are independent.
Yeah, it costs a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what is the best way to improve as a producer and to also make the money that you can live on it?
How do you become a good soccer player?
Yeah, okay, I know what you intend to do.
You don't have to go to school for that, right?
Yeah,
It's
play.
it's a talent that you have, and you get better by it by putting a lot of hours, like training, a lot of training.
Okay, just
and
put much time in it.
It's the same with music production. Like you need to have a talent for it, of course, but you can feed that talent and become bigger and better at it by spending loads of hours in the studio.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the 10,000 hour rule?
What are you talking about?
It's they've done some research that if you spend 10,000 hours in a certain skill, you master the skill. 10,000 hours.
Okay, and
then you know how to make music.
Okay, that's much, but doesn't mean if I have more talent, you could say, you don't need to spend.
You can do it more
much.
quickly. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, but it's like with the whole school thing. I can see why schools are being created for music producers, because it's good money, right? It's expensive. But I don't really believe that you need school to become a big DJ. Like if you have a look at the top 100 DJs right now, same for me as well, like music school has not been a part of that for most, like almost all of them. And it's just a matter of going to that practice field, which is the studio for you, and start training, like start going and put in a lot of hours, all the time that you have fun in the studio and start making music. Save yourself all that money and just dive into the studio.
Okay, but how do you know where to put the time in? Because there are certain fields you can put the time in and it's more effective in certain ways, and you just mistake of time, you could say, because they don't improve that much with so much time and money you put it in. So how do you know what is the right way to improve?
The first thing is your music. So first you should make sure that all the time you spend is on getting your music at the right level, which takes the most time.
Money, because you need the right instruments.
Yeah, it takes some money. Yeah, you need a laptop, you need maybe speakers or a headphone, or just like the basic gear. It's not too expensive. You can make it as expensive as you want. But yeah, you need that. But you can start with simple stuff. You don't need the most expensive stuff. It's just like a simple laptop, some software. That's about it.
Yeah, I already have that much, so it's a good startup.
Yeah, that's a great start. And then first make sure that your level of music, the skill of your music production is at the highest point possible. That's your first focus point.
Okay, and how do I know, that's my highest point?
That's really hard to decide because you are the only one who's able to decide.
Yeah, right. Okay, so it's more of a feeling. I can go that high with my musical quality on my own, and I don't need help from anybody.
Yeah, if you get when you get stuck at a certain point and feel like, oh, this is just all I can do right now, then that's probably the best you can do, and then you can start educating yourself to maybe become better at it, or
So you mean if you go to a school where you can study music production or things like that, you don't have that risk that you fail, or is it only you don't have that risk, or it has to why do people study music production when it's only you can do it without you can do it on your own without the
Why do you go to school if you can do it without?
I would say I don't have the risk that I.
But let's say if you go to school,
yes,
does that take away the risk? As in, does it mean that when you go to a music school and you've graduated, you have the piece of paper like I'm a music producer now? Does that give you certainty of a certain job?
No.
But it could give you some networks. Maybe
that could help, yeah.
Some people.
Yeah, that could help. It puts you in an environment where you are with like-minded people.
Exactly.
It could help, but
I thought it could show a way how to improve effectively in the shortest amount of time.
Yeah, it could definitely help, and that's why it's there. But I think because it's so expensive, and if you don't have the financial obligations to pay for it, you have YouTube. Like everything you're gonna learn is on the internet. So if you're gonna Google stuff that you want to know, Google will have the answer for you. So there's nothing you will learn on school that's not available on the internet. I can tell you that right now. But the thing is, like learning something by yourself is harder because it requires discipline. And that's something that a lot of people lack. You have to do everything by yourself because no one's checking you. No one's pushing you to do something. You are the only one that has to push yourself. And that's where a lot of people struggle with.
And you have to believe in yourself.
Yep.
Because if you don't improve sometime,
and a music school is more like a safe place where you have someone who is grading you and stuff and helping you and
showing the right way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, a way. They help you with finding a way, but it's not necessarily the right way, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it could help on a few things. But I really believe that with the internet at your fingertips, like having Google there, YouTube, all those tutorials, places like this, because this is also networking. This is also meeting people. With internet, you can speak to everyone on the planet through Skype. You can just start direct messaging to someone on Instagram and say, like, hey, I see you make music, let's chat, Works really easily. So I don't really see the value of a music school there anymore.
Okay.
The only thing you need is the discipline to do it by yourself.
Okay, and how would you recommend to, what is the best way to improve the fastest for yourself?
Work really hard, spend a lot of hours. That's the only way to improve.
Okay.
There is no hack.
Yeah, I just want to know if you have advice.
Advice.
Because many people went this way, and I think they learned from the way what things you can do right or wrong, and what is the best for them, what is more effective and what's less. So I just want to ask you because you're the experienced one. Music,
like releasing a lot of music is the first thing you should focus on. So for you, first get your production level at a higher level, and then start releasing all that music.
Okay.
That's definitely the first thing, and the most effective thing.
And away from any labels, just by yourself putting out music, or what do you mean?
You can try labels, but in the beginning that's going to be really hard. So it doesn't necessarily matter if a label signs it in the beginning, as long as it's getting out there. Like just put it on Spotify, put it on iTunes, Apple Music.
Would you say it's important to go on stage when you have enough songs you can present?
And the fan base.
Sorry, if you go on stage?
If you go on stage, how early would you go? I mean, when you have enough songs, you can play, or
you can always start playing now.
Yes.
Because you can play other people's songs as well. It's the same as with your music. Like you need to get experienced. So you first need to start playing at audiences to get familiar with DJing, to get familiar with having a crowd. Yeah. You need to get experienced. You need to start training, and that's by having gigs that are not necessarily 100% the thing that you're going for or perfect, but it helps you to get to that level.
Okay.
Because you need to develop, you need to train, and you can already start doing gigs, but it's not going to be the gigs that you're hoping for probably. But it doesn't matter because you're just getting started.
And how do you? I mean, the first time or at first you don't make any money, you just have to spend it. You have to spend time. And how do you live with no finances coming in and just training and spending it? So how is this a possible way to train?
Having a side job, like a part-time job maybe, or just a full-time job. Because even if you have a full-time job, 5 days a week, you still have your evenings and you still have your weekends where you can make music. So in the beginning, you should find a way where you have an income and also can work on your music. So that's probably having 2 jobs in the beginning. Until you start to make some money with your music, and then you can start leaving the job.
Okay, I understand.
But everyone needs to make money. So a part-time job, so maybe working 3 days a week or 4 days a week just to pay your bills. And the other days of the week, you can work on music.
And how do I convince my parents from this idea? Because
you
my parents are the main influence.
Yeah.
Which said you have to go to a university to study because it's some of safety for themselves. That the child will go the right way, something like that. Because I already thought about going independent and just training, but they weren't convinced by that. So just how do I convince them from that? Because I think at first I will still need their help first before I can.
How do you need their help?
I think to go to the right to just buy a flat.
So they help you financially?
Financially first, so I can stand on my own feet.
The minute you take money from your parents, they're in control.
That's right.
The minute you stop taking money from your parents, you can say, fuck you, I love you, but fuck you.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I don't want to go to a university, I don't want to do this, I want to do this. And if you want to pay me to get my apartment, I'm not going to do it because they take that as leverage on you. They say you're going to go to your university and then we'll pay for an apartment. They do it out of love. It's a good thing from their perspective, but they're trying to protect you. But you might have a different perspective on things, you know, like you might have a different goal. So the minute you take money from your parents, you can't say shit about anything.
That's true.
And the minute you say, I'm going to make my own money with a part-time job, and I'm going to prove myself that making money with music is possible, that's the only way to do it. But you have to cut off the whole financial support. And that's a risk.
True. Yeah, but I think it only gives you power and belief in yourself.
But if you really believe in yourself, that's the only way to do it. Because you cannot convince your parents. You can only convince them by showing them that it's possible.
How do you know? I think it's a very personal question because I don't really fully believe in myself. So how do I know that I have the talent, what it needs to make enough money with music and to get partly on the top? You know what I mean? Just to get to the high where I can live with my music and where do I know that with?
How do you build your self-esteem?
Yeah, exactly. And do I have the talent and the qualities that it needs for?
You can start building that by getting started with releasing your music and starting doing gigs. Because once people are coming back to you, say like, hey, I actually like your music. I actually like your gig. Like, hey, you're a good DJ. That boosts your self-esteem. Like that fuels your self-esteem because that approves the thoughts that you were having. And of course, it all starts with yourself because you need to be the one that needs to be okay with everything.
Yeah, exactly.
So you need to work on yourself from the inside. Like maybe you should start talking with a mental coach, for example, or do some mental courses because it's really important that you have it. But when you start releasing music and people start boosting your self-esteem because they like your music, that really helps. But it all starts with yourself.
Okay. So from the feedback of the people and the viewers and but how do I get the feedback? For example, on SoundCloud, because especially in the beginning, you don't have that much people who are hearing your music. How do I get that feedback? Because I have just a few maybe related to you, friends of them, and how do you know what their right feelings? You know what I mean? Or just a few people are hearing the music, and there's not really a feedback you can trust on that you have the qualities.
That's where that's the part where you just have to believe in yourself. Like you first have to put out 20 tracks before anyone else will listen to it.
Yeah, it's true.
And if you're not believing yourself, then who would?
My parents. No, it was a joke.
Yeah. Well, it always, most of the time it starts with family and friends who are the first supporters. It's a logical thing, right? Your friends might support you because they think it's cool that you're doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're always your first supporters.